You who are watching this video are preparing to head to Iringa, something that hundreds of people from this synod have done over the last 20 years. It's been one of the most enlivening things in their lives and, frankly, for the life of our whole synod. And I think that's because the God that we meet in Jesus Christ calls us into the world and says we give ourselves away for the sake of the world. And when human compassion meets human needs, we find Christ in the midst. And I think people have been going to Tanzania and finding Jesus Christ. It's been happening for a long time. It began over 20 years ago when Arnie and Mary Bloomquist, ELCA missionaries at the time, and Bishop M. de Gela began to dream about some things that could happen. Those dreams now have taken form. We have launched Tumaini University, which has now over 3,000 students in Iringa. We have wells all over that diocese. We have built worship centers. We have supported evangelists. We have provided scholarships and built schools. Our footprints are all over that place. And what's happened is not just some do-good things, but relationships have been built. And as people's lives have been connected and woven, everybody's life is lifted.
The first time is just stunning. It is, if you are a person who has seen documentaries, if you have heard missionaries talk, and here you are, this person from grew up on the plains of South Dakota, and here you are in Africa. It is just amazing. And then you meet these people, not only the ones in our village, but also the people who are there to help them. There were missionaries from all over the world in Iringa. There is our people in the St. Paul area synod who were down in Eunice Fultz. We stayed at their place. We met the headmaster at this school. We met the head person at the hospital. And then we went to our village and we stayed there for 3 days. And it was amazing. They showed us, they said, "Oh, we need to show you what your money has bought." When we had paid for some coffee plants, a roof, and they were just like us. It was amazing. I think the most stunning moment of the whole experience was we got there and we had raised money. We were going to help these people. So we raised money and we brought things to help them. And we got there and we had just met them and they said, "You know, we've been praying for you." And I never realized what a two-way street it was. And then they said, "Oh, and we have gifts for you." And I never and they were baskets and things, but they were so precious that they in their own way had worked as hard for us as we had for them. And they had prayed for us as we had prayed for them. It was great.
How do we prepare for our trip? I think it's very important, especially from our first trip, we asked the congregation to get involved with our trip. We made a devotion book, and we asked people to write devotions for us, and we would give them a copy. So we both read the devotion on the same day. And we've got people praying for us in Africa, and we have people praying for us in America. And there's a huge bond with that, and people do feel more connected. So I think prayers, prayer partners, devotions, and also praying, for yourself and your group. What am I going to experience? Being open, asking God, what am I supposed to get out of this? I don't know. You never know what you're going to get into. And so it is quite the revelation. It is relying on God, which we often don't do in our daily lives here. We don't realize it, but you don't know what you will expect in Africa, and you don't know what to expect, but you learn to rely. Mweni Mungu, trust God.
Some of the things that would be helpful to be thinking about and to do to prepare for the trip beyond the fundraising, beyond those paperwork things, those administrative things that need to happen, probably is a lot of time reflecting on yourself. Why are you doing this? Why are you going? Be honest with that first, because we do have a lot of different ideas. Maybe you're interested because you want to go on safari and take pictures and see the animals. That's not a bad thing to do. But in the midst of looking at that self-reflection, why are you going, is then to ask the second question, and it was the thing that touched me, is God, help me to be open. Help me to be flexible with whatever happens. Help me to be opening my heart and my mind and my spirit to learn something, to be changed, to have this experience, whatever that might be, prepared for me.
It's not only the logistics of the trip, the getting the shots, getting the passports, that sort of thing. It's planning what is going to be done on that trip, planning together what gifts will be taken to the congregation, planning how they're going to publicize the trip within the congregation here to gather gift money to purchase those gifts and so forth. So when the trip actually takes place, the people are not just passengers, they are active participants.
I'm a real, and the rest of my family will tell me that too. I am the person that over-prepares, but especially for Africa, and especially since we were traveling, we were the leaders. I do everything. Read about Africa, well, that's important too, to know what you're getting into. Read about, make sure people get all the shots. I had many, many lists for people, things to bring, suggestions, because there's no Target or Walmart once you get there. So that was also reading, though, also trying to learn about the country. I think that was important in preparing. We had a chance to go to a church in Minneapolis, a Swahili service. So we tried to talk to as many people from Africa as possible before we went. I think that was important in the preparation. Try to read about Africa, some of the culture, some of the customs.
How to prepare is get the handbook from Bega, read over it. Bega makes it easy for your preparation because they'll take care of your overnight accommodations, the bus accommodations. They set you up with a guide of where you to view different schools and properties in Africa that would be of an interest to us. Hospitals, grade schools, middle schools, the college, and then they set up a 2-night, 3-day trip for us in our village. And we usually, in our 18-day trip, we get to go down there for 2 nights and 3 days. And then that gives us a church service. And then we get to go back the next weekend and attend their Sunday service. So the people, our new travelers, get to actually go back and visit friends that they met the first time there. And that is so rewarding for the new people.
I think sometimes we think important is what we put in our suitcases and that we get on the airplane and get over there. But I think there's a lot of preparation that needs to go into the trip beforehand. And so for us, it's always about meeting at least once a month for 6 months before we leave, not only to talk about, are we going to Global Health Ministries to get supplies to bring over, are we doing school bags, that sort of thing, but to start to develop a theme for ourselves in our journey there, to develop relationships with one another. One of my favorite questions that we often ask before we go on the trip, and everyone goes around and answers it, is, don't be surprised if.
When doing a trip like this, you have to do it well. There's no room for error in a trip like this. And that's not to say that you need to know everything, that you need to do everything perfectly, but there's a certain level of commitment that it takes, and there's a lot of preparation that goes in. The logistical stuff, your tickets, your visas, all of that stuff is going to take time. And it's best for you to look into it a year and a half, 2 years ahead, and plot out a timeline to say, we need to book our airfare by this date. We need to have our visas by this date. Everyone needs to have your passports done by this date. You need your vaccinations by this date. And get that on a calendar early. Another huge thing that you need to do is educational pieces. You need to know where you're going. You need to know the customs of there. You need to know a little bit of the language, so when people are saying common things like hello, goodbye, do you need to go to the bathroom, that you're not standing there with a blank stare on your face going, what should I do? You need to know what's going on. So you need to be aware of situations and common things in their culture, how that relates to your culture, so that you don't offend anybody. Being really conscious of who they are, what they do, what's okay, what's not okay.
There's a lot of question. We're not going there with hammers and nails and so on. Is this truly a legitimate mission trip? And my advice is be prepared to do the work when you get home. Go there, see the needs, find your passion, find what drives you, and then come home. There's many different affiliate programs that if you find something that's important to you, that you can get involved in. And once again, when you get home is the best time to continue your work.
As you go there, I would encourage you to be prepared to be stretched beyond your comfort zone. That's where we learn best. Educators tell us it's where we grow most spiritually. You'll find yourself in a culture where you may have some anticipation about some anxiety about what you may encounter, and that's a very good thing. Be prepared to be loose in the saddle. Be prepared to encounter timelines that don't always hold. Don and others who have been there will tell you that in spades. But be prepared to recognize that though we go there thinking we have much to offer people who are more poor, whose country is less developed, you will gain far more than you have to give, because you will encounter people whose faith is vibrant and real. You will encounter worship that is lively and central in people's lives. You will begin to think about ourselves and how we live our lives in different ways than what you thought about before. I wish you well in your preparations for this journey. It's going to be an exciting time for you. I also want to tell you that when you come back from your journey, your experience doesn't end. In a sense, it's only begun. You will carry the impact of this time in Iringa with you the rest of your life. It will shape the way you interact with others as you speak about the mission of the congregation, as you speak about your purpose in living your life as one of God's people given away for the sake of the world. God bless your time away and your time back.